Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 94 Feet. Kate Cameron, Danny Stefanovic as usual. And hey, you know what? Today is going to be a very special day. Not in the sense that we're really getting into anything too specific, but just more the sense that, we are finally starting the preview stuff for the 2022 NBA season. It's a lot closer than we think. I think we're going to be in like week 7 of the NFL, so week 6, week 7 of the NFL season by the time we start with the NBA regular season. And, if you know anything about the NFL, that comes up on you real quick. So we are very close. We're very excited to get started with this. And we're starting in a very special way. Danny and I are going to be breaking down our NBA top 50 going into the 2022 season. Today, we're going to be going through our top, 50 through 41, the bottom 10 on the list, and just kind of pretty much go from there. 5-part series, make it fun, make it interesting. Danny, before we get into it, I got to hear, you got anything special to say for the viewers out there?
Excited to be here. Still working on my lighting situation. I don't got the best lighting, but it's preview season. People love lists, so this should be fun. I'm gonna try and pull up the Twitter chat this stream because apparently Twitter was popping off last week, Kate, and
A
we
little
weren't.
bit. Hey, I was gonna say Austin had some stuff to say. Some of those King fans out there. So,
But during the live stream too, we weren't on the Twitter chat, so we'll be. I'm gonna try and keep up with that if I can figure that out. But yeah,
all right, sounds good.
excited.
Yeah, I'll try doing the same here. Obviously, it just depends how quick it loads in for us. But
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, very simple, very clear. Top 50, and I'll admit, I feel like Danny. I'm not sure if you felt the same way, but putting together a top 50 is pretty difficult. Top 15. I think you can get away with that there, but then there's a lot of symmetry. There's a lot of the same stuff you see throughout players when you're getting from probably I'd say like 20 to bottom 50. There's a lot, like I said, just a lot going on there. So, yeah, did you run into kind of some of those same difficulties when you're putting together a list?
Yeah, so I put together my list, but I already think I want to switch some of it up. So by the time we say number one, I'm sure we might have a little bit of a different list. But yeah, we're starting 41 through 50. I had to leave some guys out. Okay, do you have any big snubs that didn't make your 50 that you can think of?
I don't know if I'd say I have any big snubs in my opinion. I think the guys on my top 50 are guys that deserved it. I think if anything, there's just going to be guys that I think are going to get a little bit more attention than others. Like I feel like there's going to be people that I put in there that people might not agree with it. People might think I'm crazy for thinking it. And honestly, that's probably going to go the same way whenever you make a list consisting of 50 players this deep. So, but I don't think I really necessarily had any big snubs. I think it's just more so about where they were put and whatnot.
Okay, so yeah, I ended up having like a top 60 list just because players I didn't like couldn't I wanted in my 50 but ended up not making it. I don't know if you have these guys in your top 50K, but I left out Al Horford, Tyrese Halliburton, DeAndre Ayton. Is he in your 50?
Really? He is, and okay, I like. It's not necessarily a bad pick, but okay, let's keep going. What else you got?
I was torn.
Really?
Fox. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think looking okay, I might have to put him back on my list, but he and then Wiggins. I know he had a great postseason. He's 50 to 60 for me. Cade Cunningham and RJ Barrett. Those are some of the guys that didn't make it for me.
All right, that's not terrible. I will admit, I think there's some guys on there. I think you could throw 2 guys on there that I would say that they definitely deserve to be on there. But for the most part, I feel like
you could argue DeAndre Ayton and De'Aaron Fox, even Wiggins or Cade Cunningham. You could definitely sway me into making them a top 50 player. But right now, they're not my top 50.
I'll say the nice thing about this too is that this is pretty much just all like we're just predicting this. We don't know exactly how these players are going to match up when the season comes around. Granted, we don't even know if some of these players are going to be making it through the entire season, whether that's injury or whatnot. So realistically, it's nice because you can say that DA doesn't make your top 50. You could say that De'Aaron Fox doesn't make your top 50, and you could make that argument, and it works out because this is just a prediction. We don't really know how this is going to play out, but. Obviously, of course, people are going to say what they want to say, and people are going to be probably upset with the way that our list kind of turns out. But honestly, who cares? Let's just see how it goes. But getting into it, let's just get right into it. Danny, you want to start off with your 50th player on that list?
All right, at number 50 for me. I don't know if he's going to be on your list, Kate, but I got Tyrese Maxey coming off a crazy sophomore year. After his rookie year, he took over that shooting guard spot for the Sixers. And he really took off. He became the third leading scorer on the Sixers this past year behind Embiid, Harden, took a past Toby. He had 7 games with 30 or more points this past season, a career high 39 points. He is one of the best shooting guards, young shooting guards in this league. He'll be in the league for a while because he can shoot 48% from the field, 42% from three, eighth most efficient in the league, 86 from the line. So if the ball's going up, it's most likely going in. And, a potential 50, 40, 90 club player down the line. And what I really loved about Tyrese was that he even got better in the playoffs. I remember going into the playoffs, I wasn't sure how we would perform as the number 2 option because Harden really kind of ended up becoming like an afterthought in the offense, and Tyrese kind of became like the 2. And he elevated. He averaged 18 in the regular season, averaged 20 in the postseason. Game 1 versus Toronto, first postseason game of his career. He drops 38 points in a 20-point win. It set the tone for the rest of the series. So I got Tyrese Maxey sneaking in at 50 for me.
All right, I like that pick. And one of the big things, I mean, as you mentioned, is that postseason run for Tyrese Maxey was massive. The one thing I will say, though, is I think a lot of it comes down to how well Harden plays this regular season. I mean, from what I've seen this offseason, it looks like he's really starting to put in some good work there. And I think he's going to be prepared, at least for the first few months. But at the same time, I mean, if anything, that gives Tyrese Maxey some more time to develop as a player. He's still so young. He's got that time to really figure himself out. And I agree. I think by the end of the season, I could definitely see him on this list. Personally, he's not somebody that cut it out for me. But like I said, I mean, he's right there. For me, this is going to be an interesting one, in my opinion. I think I'm not sure if you're going to be a huge fan of it just because of where he's playing, the role he has and whatnot. But I'm going to Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
So I think the thing with me is that, I mean, I think he really blossomed as a player at Indiana. I mean, that's where he really showed out and he became that team leader. He got shipped off to Sacramento kind of just as an afterthought this past season, being on a team that didn't make the playoffs. And then now they are in a position where, seeing how the bottom of the West is shaping out, they can push for a 10 or 9 spot, get into the play-in. So I think he's going to have a massive role there. I think with him, De'Aaron Fox, and if Keegan Murray plays the way he played the summer league, and even when he was bad at Iowa, they can definitely make a run. And I think that Domantas Sabonis is going to be that great, I guess you can say role player in a sense. He's going to be a major asset when it comes to moving the ball around, getting points, driving to the basket, all that stuff. So I think with him, he's going to be one of those key members of that Sacramento Kings team. And as the more I think about it, I think the more Austin is right. They could possibly see themselves at least in the play-in position this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. So I think, Domantas Sabonis 50 on my list.
Okay, sneak peek. I'll be talking about him later today.
Okay, so I mean, hey, not too bad then. We got him on both our lists, both our lists. There we go.
We're not arguing yet. Yeah, I know. We're not arguing
yet.
Not
yet. Exactly.
You want me to go 49?
Right. Yeah, let's hit 49. Again, you go first. We'll just go back and forth from this point.
Okay, 49. He might be living close by to where I'm at. Mikal Bridges. I don't know if he's too low compared to where you have him in your list, Kade. But last year he was the best defender on the 1 seed. He had to be in my top 50. Finished second in DPOY voting. He made the all defensive team. A couple fun stats that I found. He had the most traveled distance on defense. And that's just because he was always guarding the primary scorer. Every night he's guarding the LeBron, the best wing on the other team, and not even wing, really just the best scorer on their team, whether it was point guard, shooting guard, small forward. He was 7th in defensive win shares, 99th percentile against the most difficult defensive matchups. And there's a reason why the Suns just paid him. So I got, not the best offensive stats, but his contribution on defense, I had to put him in my top 50.
No, I agree. And he's definitely on my top 50. And again, a guy that we will get into later for myself. And that is the big thing that kind of sets him back. I think he could end up higher on this list if he does become a better offensive player. And realistically, I think this might be the year that happens. I think you're going to see him as he doesn't like to be classified as a 3-and-D guy, but that's really the role he does play on that team. And I think he is going to kind of fill out in that position of maybe taking a short step back on the defensive side in order to kind of help his shooting at the 3-point line. So I think if that were to be the case, he could definitely be a little bit higher on this list for me and you both. But no, I like that. I think Mikal, just defensively being one of the best players in the game, showing that hustle, showing that grit. He's a guy that you really can't avoid putting on this list, whether it's at 50 or, I mean, honestly, you can make the argument he's anywhere up in like the 30s. It's a tough argument, but you can make that argument. I think this is going to get a little bit of a. I'm not sure if you're going to really liking this one. This is a guy that he came off a playoff team last year. I think he's going to be able to find himself in a very important position, just not as big of a position as he was in last year after he was traded. I'm going to go CJ McCollum. I think
okay.
I was going to say, I think he's going to be a very good member of that team, and he's going to be in this case. I mean, I know he's kind of had that star position back when he was with Portland, and obviously a little bit last year, kind of having that career resurgence when he went to New Orleans. But seeing where Zion is right now, if he stays healthy the entire season and repeats that All-Star season we saw a few years back, and Brandon Ingram still playing the same way he did that we saw in the postseason last year. CJ McCollum almost does take that back seat, but it's not going to be a quiet back seat. He's going to still be producing at a very efficient level. And like I said, it comes down to being healthy, but of course that's just the NBA. But if this team can stay healthy, they're going to make a good playoff push, and I think CJ McCollum is going to be a massive part of that list or of that roster that gets them there. So a little bit low possibly, but yeah, I got CJ McCollum.
He's definitely higher in my list, but now that you mentioned it, how Zion's going to be back, CJ might take a step forward. I do think I have him a little bit too high in my list. I might change that, but I'm not going to argue. I think this is a fair spot to put him.
Exactly.
And
I mean,
zero-time All-Star. He puts up 20 points per game, which is nice, but he hasn't made an All-Star selection. Nothing like that.
Exactly. And I mean, he's dealt with injuries over the past few years too. So I feel like we haven't released. I mean, realistically, if we're talking about if he didn't make the trade or if he wasn't part of that trade and he wasn't playing too consistently in Portland, there's a possibility he wouldn't even be on this list this upcoming season. But of course, I feel like that transition to New Orleans, kind of finding himself in more of a leadership role, that made a massive difference. And that's what really got him barely on the list for me, but at least on that list.
Fair. I definitely have to adjust my rankings. You kind of opened my
convinced
eyes.
you? Yeah, there you go. All right. Let's go to 48. And I think at least for me, I think this is where the debate's going to start, but let's see it.
Okay, debate might start for me too, Kade. I was struggling with this guy because this guy, you asked someone just 2 years ago, he's a top 15, top 20 player in the league, and that's Draymond Green, defending world champ. I was struggling where to put him because if you look at the stats, 7 points per game, 7 assists per game, 7 rebounds per game. I mean, that's nothing too crazy, but he was not only the defensive anchor, but just the energy anchor for the team that just won the world championship. So I just had to put him. I had to put him on here. And the reason why he's not higher on the list, I'm really not sure what the public perception is on Draymond. Okay, do you think 48 is too high, or too low?
I mean, if we're being honest here, I don't even have him on my list. So I think
Okay. So
And
probably around the same.
I do want to clarify this real quick. So when you're talking about putting him on your list at this point, you mentioned 777. That's not a good looking stat line.
Yeah.
Are you putting him on that list for the reason that he is that almost that mental anchor for the Golden State Warrior team?
Yeah, I mean, also what he does defensively, he made the All-Star last year, averaging 777. So
Yeah,
there's a reason why. He was all defense team, second team, so that has to mean something. That's pretty much my reasoning. Defense, energy. What he does gets in the other team's head. I had to throw him in here somewhere. I didn't think he was gonna make it, but he ended up making 48 for me.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, and the thing though is that and I got to question this too, is that you look at a guy, compare him to Mikal Bridges, who was healthy the entire season last year, played all 82 games, had better defensive stats, close, but had better defensive stats. You can make the argument was better offensively with the ball, may have lacked that motivational kind of tactic that Draymond Green had. So why would you put Draymond over somebody like Mikal?
I had him one spot ahead of Mikal just because Mikal, I can't get Luka out of my picture. What Luka did to Bridges
That's true.
in that 7-game series.
Game 7, yeah, exactly.
Especially game 7. So I was like, I originally had Draymond at 50, and I was like, they just want to chip. It's not he made the All-Star team, so he still has respect around the league. I think he's just a slight inch above Bridges.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think that respect that mentality factor, because you were right. I mean, that Golden State Warriors team wasn't the same team until Draymond Green came back completely and actually pushed themselves in a position to win the NBA Finals. So I do agree with the fact that you can make the argument that he should be on there because of his defensive capabilities and because of his mentality. But um, I mean, realistically, it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out. He is getting to that point where he's getting older. He's,
Yeah.
I mean, he's again not putting up necessarily the stats, and if he can't keep it up defensively, which is a possibility from this point on, there's a very good chance that he's going to be seeing the end of his career very soon. Um, for me,
He's
this is going to be a very interesting one. I think there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this. I say shove it. This is a guy that's a rookie this year. He's first year in the league. But I think he's going to be an absolute star. He's on a team where he can not necessarily develop, but he could show the league exactly what he's going to be able to do. He has a possibility of even being that number one position on that team. I'm going with Benedict Mathurin. I think he was a beast at Arizona. I think he's bringing a very professional and mature mindset to that Indiana Pacers team. And I think having a decent, I mean, not decent, but at least some help with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton in there. I think Benedict Mathurin is going to explode on the scene in the Eastern Conference and show what the top 5 picks missed out on.
Kade. If this is a hot take, I don't know. If this isn't a hot take, I don't know what is. Because man, when you said you were gonna throw on 2 rookies, like Ben Mathurin was a surprise, and to have him at 48 is pretty crazy in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
know. And that's the thing though, is that like I do think it comes down to the fact that I think out of all the players in the draft last year, he was the most NBA ready, maybe just behind Chet. But obviously, I mean, shoot, Chet might make the list if it wasn't for the fact that he got injured, or Chet might be in this position if it wasn't for the fact that he got injured, what, like 3 days ago? I
Yeah,
mean, or a little farther than 3 days ago, but um and that's my thing. I think he's the most NBA ready. I think he's found himself in a position where he's going to be able to be a good player on a team that's struggling right now. And he's going to possibly find his way into a position where he's going to be able to get that rookie of the year. And again, like I said, I know it's a stretch, but it's also really not that uncommon to see rookies come into the league and make an impact right away. I mean, you saw that with Evan Mobley, you saw that with Scotty Barnes last year, and it's very possible it could happen again. And I think you look at the way things are playing out. As of now, Benedict Mathurin's in a position where he's going to be able to, I think, put himself in a very solid position to succeed where he's at, especially in the East. I mean, if we're talking the Western Conference, I don't even think he makes the list, but I think it's the fact that he's in the East and he's playing in an area where he can kind of make that work out for him. That's kind of my reasoning for that one. I don't have much to like say when it comes to past NBA experience, but from what I saw at the college level, he could, like I said, he could get on the scene and explode. That's all I gotta say.
I don't know. I think your Wildcat fandom is taking over because Kade, he's joining the Pacers. It's okay to say he's a top 50 player is kind of crazy because even if he has a good season next year, I don't see him impacting too much winning. The Pacers only won 25 games last year. They're the 13th seed in the East. They traded Malcolm Brogdon. They're about to trade Buddy Hield and Miles Turner to the Lakers, right? So these
Let's
guys are
hope
on
not.
trade time. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But those guys are seriously in trade talks. He's gonna have to have a monster season for him to crack the top 50 if we like by the time we do this in a year. So I mean, it's definitely possible, but I mean, I might have to clip this on a freezing cold takes, kid.
Hey, who knows? I see. That's my thing is that I think again, as you said, there's a lot of possibilities with this Pacers team, but I'm saying that I mean, if things it's September or it's almost September, it's still August. It's September. We're about 3 weeks away from the preseason starting, 4 weeks away from preseason starting. I think at this point it's a position where I don't think the Pacers are going to make any significant moves until possibly the trade deadline. I don't think Miles Turner's going anywhere. I don't think that Buddy Hield's going anywhere. I think that they're going to be staying on that team. And again, like I said, I think Benedict Mathurin is going to be a very good fit. I think is going to be able to work the ball around very well. And like I said, I know it's a hot take. I recognize that it's a stretch in my to some people, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of potential for this guy, and I think that he can definitely find his way, impacting the team almost in a way that I mean, you saw it last week how Austin wants Keegan Murray to impact the Kings, but I actually think this could happen with Benedict Mathurin and the Pacers.
I mean, we'll find out. I'm excited to see how this Pacer team looks now.
No, I agree. I think it could be very interesting, especially going into the season. I mean, it's still the offseason. The plenty can still happen. So
Yeah.
you never know. All right, let's hit 47. Danny, who you got?
All right, 47. I'm going with the most improved player after John Morant gave it to him, Desmond Bain, another rising shooting guard. I'm talking a lot of shooting guards because I mean these shooting guards are just coming out of nowhere. It seems like after a 9 point per game rookie season, Bain just burst on the scene, 18.2 points per game. I thought he deserved a most improved player for sure. Second leading scorer on the 2 seed. He had to be my top 50, and he's become one of the most reliable 3 point shooters in the league. He made three threes a game on 43%. He led the Grizzlies in points per game in that first series versus Minnesota. He came out with a 34-point game 4 when Ja was only having 11. And like you said, the story of the Grizzlies was when Ja was out, the Grizzlies were just fine. Bain showed that he can be a reliable scoring option in this league. And we'll see what the Grizzlies do again next year. But I think Desmond Bain has established himself as one of the best shooting guards in the league.
No, I agree. Well, in a sense, I agree. I wouldn't necessarily throw him in the position where he's one of the best shooting guards in the league, but I do think that he is a very significant part of why that Grizzlies team is so successful in the moment. I mean, realistically, he could be the difference between the Grizzlies finding themselves in a position where they're the 1 or 2 seed, or possibly down lower on the list and playing in the play-in. You know what I mean? I mean, John Morant's a fantastic player. He's shown such great success at the NBA level. And I think, I mean, we're going to talk about John Morant weeks away from now, but I
Mhm.
think again, every superstar needs those key players around him to kind of make things successful. Desmond Bain is that guy for John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Uh, he's going to be, like I said, I mean, he's going to be a guy that's really going to make the difference on that team, and I think he will make a massive difference on that team. Nobody's got the Grizzlies projected to finish very low in the West. They've definitely made that turnaround, and they're showing it in full force right now. And it's good. He's again that great
Yeah.
second option on that team. So I can't
I,
disagree with you
I
there.
think I really fell in love with Desmond over in the playoffs. Really, Ja goes down. Dylan Brooks had like the worst postseason two series of all time. Jaren Jackson Jr. He was struggling with foul trouble, but Desmond Bain was like the only player on the Grizzlies they could count on. So, did he? I'm interested. Is he making your top 50, Kate, or not?
I might have to change things around because as of now
Okay,
he's not. Um, but I'm looking at this right now. Honestly, I think I would put him in there over some of the people I've got in there. Again, some of these are going to be hot takes, especially just because they're lower down on this list. But for my 47, I'm talking about a guy again. This isn't going to be a rookie, but he was a rookie last year. He made a splash playing in Cleveland. I think he's going to be able to show that improvement and show that versatility this year. I'm going Evan Mobley. Again, like I said, I mean, as a rookie, he definitely proved himself to be one of the best the best rookie in the league. He was rookie of the year, right? If I remember correctly, because I mean, it was between him and Scotty, and I'm pretty sure that he was the one that took it away.
Scotty won. Yeah,
Scotty won.
yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well then, uh, yeah, Evan Mobley. I mean, like I said, he's going to be a guy that. I mean, he was one of the key players that took a Cavs team that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to make the playoffs. Took them into the play-in against the what was Brooklyn. They had to play in the play-in, which isn't an easy play-in game to go against. So, um, wait, am I forgetting? They played. They play. I know they played Brooklyn in the play-in, but did they play as the 8th seed?
No,
Um, See that? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
wait.
So,
Hold on, hold
yeah,
on.
didn't make it, but I mean, still made the play-in as a team that wasn't really expected to do anything last year. He was one of those big leaders on that team. So I think again, Evan Mobley is just going to continue to develop as a player, and he's going to be definitely one of the better players coming out of the East this year.
Yeah, Mobley. He didn't make my top 50, but I kind of struggle with these young guys because I'm not sure if next season are they going to be a top 50 player or but like down the line, I definitely do think Mobley's going to be a top 25 player. I just
Oh
don't think
yeah.
next season he's quite there yet. So I'm not going to argue with you, but I hope you're not too upset I didn't include Mobley.
No, I mean that's why I had him lower on the list is because I think there's still so much potential that he has to achieve, and I think he will get there. I mean, as we both agreed, I think he's going to be a top 25 player in the league coming into the next few years. But I think at this point, I mean, for what he did for that Cavs team last season, a team that really wasn't expected to do anything to find themselves in a play-in game, It's obviously very like significant. So I think he's going to continue to improve on that. Um, and again, like I mean, he does definitely have the help around him, but I think he's definitely going to be able to work upon what he's been able to show as of now. So, yeah, I got Evan Mobley at 47. Let's hop into 46. Danny, who do you got at your 46th
Cool.
overall?
You touched on him a little bit earlier. I got Sabonis at 46. I think you had him at 49, K.
I had him at 50.
50. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
46. We're not too far off there. I mean, you said it. Two-time All-Star. He got an All-Star appearance in 2020 and in 2021. The reason why he's so low, like he's always put up the stats, but I'm sure you can agree with me. He's just so low because he hasn't really affected winning too much. In 2020, he led the Pacers to a 4 seed, but he ended up getting hurt and missed the playoffs. And then 2021, his other All-Star year, they were the 9 seed, missed the playoffs. But like I said, he has the stat, he has a nice stat line, 19 points per game last year, 12 blocks. That was third in the league just behind Gobert and Jokic, 5.2 assists. So, he's one of those bigs that can dish it like no one else really. He shoots efficiently. He hasn't played in a playoff game actually, and like I said earlier, hasn't really affected winning too much. I know last season he only played 15 games on the Kings, but they went 5-10. I'm not going to harp on him too much, but like you said, if they have a big a season, they're in the play-in game, I could definitely see Sabonis creeping up this list higher.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's one of those players that the Kings need him to be able to find success. And I think with the players like De'Aaron Fox, possibly Keegan Murray, if he is continuing to play the way he did during the summer league, he's going to have that major role in making sure that they do find some wins in this season. And especially, like I said, just the way that the bottom of the West is kind of constructed as of now, there's a very good chance that they find themselves in a play-in. If not a play-in, they're going to be right there at the 11th seed. So I think they've got a good chance of possibly making that. So yeah, no, I can't disagree with you there. I think putting them there anywhere really between 45 and 50 is very solid. Again, I'm gonna throw out a kind of interesting one. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I look at the list at this point on it. The rest of my list, I feel like you can is kind of scandalous, you could say. But
Scandal.
46, yeah, I mean that's the best way I could describe it. But at 46, I feel like honestly, I feel like because of this show, I kind of have to throw him on here. I think he's going to find a way to make a big season like he has in the past out of Oklahoma City. I'm going Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's going to find, I mean, he's obviously shown a lot of success in Oklahoma City so far. He's developed well there. It's finally looking like he's starting to get the help around him. Obviously, Chet's out, can't throw him in that conversation anymore. But I mean, you could very much see Oklahoma City tanking again, getting that number 1 overall pick next year for that one guy out of France. I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name. I probably won't remember the guy until next draft season. But at the same time, he's going to be that team leader. He's going to be that guy that's going to be getting points. He's going to be that guy consistently that the media is looking at. So again, like I said, 46 lower on the list. I got Shai.
40. I'm only upset because I feel like he's a little too low, Cade. 46.
Really? Well, no, that's the thing is he's a fantastic player, but I think a part of it does go with the fact that again, just playing in Oklahoma City. I mean, as you mentioned with Sabonis and even a possibility with Benedict Mathurin, he's not really a guy that adjusts that win total too much. Like he's going to be putting up stats, but he's not going to be getting that Oklahoma City Thunder team many wins, especially now that they have their second overall pick out. So I mean that's kind of why I put him there. But at the same time, yeah, he's a fantastic player. I think he could definitely be up there. If there was a little bit more success when it comes to being able to win games in Oklahoma City.
I can't believe you're disrespecting the best dressed player in the NBA, Kid.
Hey, I could disrespect him and not put him on the list at all. I made sure to get him on there, but
I mean, he's definitely I'll tell you right now, he's top 40 for me.
Oh, okay, top 4. I mean, that's not too far off, but I mean,
I have him at 30 right now. I have him at 32.
32. Okay,
33.
That's how...
33. Now that I'm looking at it, Kate, my mind's a little too high up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking at that too. I mean, I'm looking at who I have it like in the 30s area right there. That is a stretch, but I know I can definitely understand the argument you can make about him being a little bit higher on that list. But at the same time, I mean, I think there's a true list of players that are going to be better than him this year. Like I said, I mean, I think realistically, I mean, the way I look at my list, and you'll kind of get into it probably later on in the episode, I could see him really getting up to probably around 40 on my list. I just think there are going to be some guys that are going to produce a little bit better this year. But I think 46, I mean, I feel like that's a solid spot from overall.
Okay, yeah, hey, sorry for overreacting. I think he'll slot in around 40 for me also.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's solid. All right, but let's hit 45 for you now. Who are we looking
Okay,
at for
45.
45?
It's you mentioned Evan Mobley. I went with
Mhm.
Jared Allen at 45. Um, even though Mobley didn't make my list, he made his first All Star team this past year. Averages of 16, 10.8, and 1.3 blocks. So not the craziest stats, but I mean his impact on the defensive side is just
Mhm.
something else. He led the team to the fifth best defensive efficiency the first 56 games of the season until he got hurt in March and missed the rest of the season. And once he got traded to Cleveland and they drafted Evan Mobley, people were saying how's he going to fit in with Mobley, Markin, and Kevin Love. He established himself as one of the best centers on both sides of the floor in the paint. On the defensive side, I mentioned what he does. And on the offensive side, I mean, second in the league in field goal percentage was 67%. And the other reason why I went with Jared Allen on this list, not Evan Mobley, is because once he got hurt, we kind of saw the Cavs dip off a little bit. At one point they were like the 4 seed, and I think they finished the 9-10 seed, 9 or 10 seed. So I think Jared Allen is a little bit right now. He's more impactful than Mobley, but down the line, I definitely see Mobley a better player. But as of right now, I think Jared Allen is a top 50 player in the league.
Yeah, that's not a terrible pick. I mean, he definitely made an impact on that team. First off, I also got to mention I love how we went from one of the best dressed in the league to possibly the worst dressed in the league. But yeah, he definitely made that impact. I mean, he was there. He was an all-star. He just didn't end up playing all-star weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, that's
He was
what
chilling
I
in
thought.
his dad
Yeah,
fit. You remember that
exactly.
atrocious fit?
Jesus. Yeah. So I mean, no, that's not a terrible pick. And I think honestly, you can make an argument with anybody on that Cavs team that if they were to get injured, it wouldn't just be Jared Allen. It could also, I feel like it could have been Mobley. It could have been Darius Garland. I feel like those are guys that if they got injured last season, they'd find themselves in the same position. But yeah, Jared Allen was definitely one of the, I mean, realistically, I think you could make the argument that he was the team leader on that Cavs team. He was the one that really pushed them to make that playoff run last year. And he obviously made that massive impact along with Mobley and Darius Garland. But Jared Allen at that position, the only reason I wouldn't put Jared Allen over Mobley as of now is I feel like, again, I mentioned, Evan Mobley was just in his rookie year. He still had so much to learn from, I think, this offseason and the experience he got last year. He's going to take that into this season. He's kind of put that over Jared Allen at this point. Even then, at the same time, I mean, you can maybe even make the argument that Jared Allen might take a step back from last year. We'll obviously have to see. I don't think it'd be a massive step back, but I think you could see him maybe not putting up very similar numbers. And that could just be the team chemistry and just the team itself around in Cleveland. But again,
Yeah,
like I said,
possible.
that's
I just
why I
think
got Mobley better.
his defensive impact is so valuable that I threw him on here.
No, I agree. His defensive, he's a fantastic defensive player, and that's what's really put him. That's what put the Cavs in that position. So I agree.
Yeah.
My 45 again, a little bit interesting, but I think as the second option on this team, I feel, or God, I don't even know if you could put him as a second option on this team at this point. I think now he's going to fall into that third position, but I think he's still just such a reliable team member. In a very similar position as CJ McCollum, I'm going with Fred VanVleet. I think he's going to be a guy that obviously, of course, he's going to be able to put up stats. He's going to be able to put up points. He's a guy that's consistently putting up big points for that Toronto Raptors team. So I think he's going to be able to put up, again, kind of be that. I mean, looking at my list, I've got to say third option. And obviously, I mean, that kind of gives it away who two other players are going to be on top over him. But again, Fred VanVleet's still just a very valuable and important member of that team on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to be able to spread the ball around very well. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to really find a way to help the team win. So yeah, at 45, I got Fred VanVleet.
I got Fred VanVleet in a couple spots up, but yeah, I don't disagree with this spot. Seems like the right area to put him in. Like you said, not really the one option. on that Toronto team. So he's not a top 40 player in my opinion.
No, not at all. And even then, as I mentioned, I don't even think he's going to be the second option on that team. I think he's going to be third behind Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. Siakam obviously being a number one. I think Scotty Barnes again in a very similar position like Evan Mobley, finding himself being that number two option, and of course Fred VanVleet, but a very skilled three in this
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like there's much debate there. Next one, I can almost guarantee you there's going to be just a little bit of debate. But let's at 44 now.
All right, 44. Hold on one sec. Okay, 44. I'm going with Brandon Ingram, one-time All-Star. The Pelicans. He took them to the 8 seed after they started off historically bad. Like everyone thought they were gonna tank. They trade for CJ. Bi gets rolling, and they make the 8 seed and they took the Suns, the number 1 seed, to 6 games. People thought the one guard, I forgot, it was clamping up CP3.
Grand Theft Alvarado.
Grand Theft Alvarado. They had a fun team, and they're going to be running it back with Zion. So I think Bi, this is the best team he's had as the premier scoring option. So it's going to be his year to show it. I don't know if you've seen the offseason images of Bi training, Kade. He hasn't got a haircut in months. He looks like he grew out the beard, everything. He's just been in the gym. He's ready to cook this season. In the 6 playoff games against the Suns series. Against the Suns, he averaged 27, 6, and 6. He had 3 games over 30 points. He hasn't really shown yet that he can stay healthy, and he doesn't really play too much defense. He had a bad year shooting the ball, so that's why he's not higher on this list for me. But I definitely think he deserves a top 50 spot.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and I'll be honest with you too. I have him a lot higher. I have him in the 30s at this point. And honestly, I mean, and I do think this is a little bit more speculation, but I mean, the way he played last postseason, and with the help of Zion next year, this is going to develop him into a much better player, just a much better all-around player. He's not going to have as heavy as a workload as long as Zion and CJ and himself stay healthy. Which means I think he's going to really blossom into a real star in this NBA. I think he's going to be an all-star this year. I think he's going to find himself in a position where he is taking a Pelicans team. I'm not ready to say that they're going to take him into a secured playoff spot, but I definitely could see him finding themselves at the 7 or 8 seed in the West, playing for a play-in on one of those higher seeded positions. But no, I can't disagree with you there. I think, again, as you mentioned, just the lack of being able to really shoot consistently last season definitely hurts. And again, also, I just feel like he definitely deserves a top 50 spot without a doubt.
Who you got?
See, this is going to be a tough one. And again, this is all speculation right here. This is just the way I've seen players develop when going. I guess in a sense, not really develop, but I've definitely found themselves a little more. This is a guy that is coming from a team who was under another superstar. I'll give you, another superstar, another guy that's going to be very big later on in this series. But I think he's going to play an absolutely massive role this year when it comes to the New York Knicks, and I'm going with Jalen Brunson. The way he played last season with Dallas under Luka showed a lot of skill, a lot of position play. I mean, he was a fantastic player overall. So now you're going to see him going into New York. Let's see if the Big Apple shakes him up. I personally don't think he will, or it will. And you're going to be paired up with RJ Barrett, Julius Randle. I think it's going to be a very good position for him, especially to almost be, in a sense, a team leader. And I think I do. I mean, I have to put him on this list. And maybe you can make the argument that you could put him higher. I don't know if you put him on your list, Danny. But I think overall, I think he's going to find himself very well in New York. And he's going to take those next steps to be another fantastic player in the league.
I'm not as high on him. I have him at 56 because I ended up doing a top 60. So I'm not as high on him. I'm surprised you have him over guys like Shai or Sabonis, though, Kade, because, I mean, I don't want to pull up Shai's stats, but at 24 years old, he's already averaging 24 points per game, man.
And I was going to say, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think you can make the argument. Like I said, this is all speculation. I think that going into New York, I think finding himself in a position where he's going to have reliable team members in Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. He's going to be able to Evan Fournier is still with the Knicks, right? Because I know, see Evan Fournier. I mean, obviously, I feel like he fell off a little since joining the Knicks, but he's still going to be able to be a little bit more reliable. So again, like I said, I think Jalen Brunson is going to find his position very well, not being under a superstar like Luca. And he's going to really kind of play himself and mold himself into the player he wants to be. So again, like I said, I understand why you'd put him lower, but I think Jalen Brunson is going to have a massive year this year.
You talk some sense into me because there's definitely, like you said, there's definitely a way in if he's able to be lead New York to a 5-ish seed. That New York media is gonna love him, and his stock
Exactly.
is just gonna go through the roof if he has a good year. Especially after that horrible Kemba experiment they had. So if
Mhm.
they can replace Kemba with Jalen and he pops off, I'm sure he'll find his spot on the list next year. But yeah, okay,
Exactly.
I can't be too mad.
Exactly. And again, like I said, I think it's just more that position of leaving Dallas, being under superstar for so long, and kind of putting himself in a position where he's now going to be able to kind of be a bigger name on a team with players that obviously have their names out there, but really haven't gotten that recognition yet. So I think Jalen Brunson's going to be a good fit. Danny, let's go into 43 for you, coming down to the last three of this list. Who
Okay.
you got at 43?
I got a 43. I got a guy who only averaged 12, 6, and 4. Not too crazy stat line, but that's because he won the Defensive Player of the Year. That guy's Marcus Smart. Helped this Celtics team that started off under 500, 23 and 24. They go on a 27-7 um, uh, finish to the season, sorry, and they go to the end of the season as a 2 seed, and that was all thanks to the defense. He was the first guard since 1996 to win DPOY, and throughout the playoffs, all the way through the finals, he was guarding Kyrie, KD, Jimmy Butler, pretty much the best wing player on the other team. And I know he got cooked in the finals, but his defensive presence, he had to be in the top 50 for me.
No, and I mean, I could understand that. I'll admit he did not make my top 50, and one of the biggest reasons why was because of his offensive inconsistencies. I think it was
He
just
honestly killed the Celtics in the finals.
yeah,
How bad he was offensively. So
exactly, and that's like I mean, games the Celtics won, he put up great numbers, but again, it just wasn't consistent, and that's the reason I couldn't put him on here. I mean, again, a fantastic defensive player, but you look at guys like Draymond, and I'll admit I don't have Draymond on this list for the exact same reason. He did not put up the stats that I felt like were needed to be a top 50 player. But it's so hard to put him on this list with the offensive inconsistencies he has. With that being said, he 100% makes up for it on the defensive side. He was defensive player of the year for a reason. That was the best defensive team in the league for a reason because there's just a lot of help, a lot of stars around him. And again, it's hard for put it simply, it's hard for me to. I can't disagree with you, but it's hard for me to see that just because of his offensive, from an offensive standpoint.
yeah, I totally get that. I mean, yeah, he was, like you said, when he was popping off offensively for the Celtics, they were fine. But when he was ball hogging it in the finals,
Yeah,
chucking up
exactly.
threes, like, yeah,
Yeah, so
he's.
he's good,
I'm not
but
gonna argue.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't see it. But for 43 for me, this is a guy that he helped a team get to the number one seed in the East. He's obviously not that number one role player, that number one player, but he's definitely a guy that's going to be able to make an offensive impact right away. I think he's going to have a little bit of a slower year this year. I got to go Kyle Lowry in this position. I mean, you see the way that he helped that Miami Heat team find a way to put themselves into the number one overall seed last year in the East, which obviously, I mean, we've mentioned it plenty of times. The East isn't necessarily the strongest conference. I mean, I feel like there's not really as many household names compared to the Western Conference, but at the same time, you're still talking about trying to get past teams like Philadelphia and Milwaukee, two teams that I think a lot of people had really high and Brooklyn too, of course, three teams that people had very high expectations for. So to push a Miami team or Miami Heat team past that, to find a way to get to the number one seed. Like I said, he's not that number one option. We got Jimmy Butler as that number one option, but he still played a massive role with that team. And I just feel like, again, he's a guy that needs to be on that top 50 list, but I feel like you can make the argument that he obviously deserves to be a little bit lower. Like I said, why I have him at 43.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this one, Kate. He's already 36 years old. To put him in a top 50, I think is a stretch. We saw last year in the playoffs, he kind of started to fall off social age, and he only averaged 8 points in the playoffs last year after averaging 13 in the regular season. He hasn't made an All-Star team since 2020, so I think the age factor is just going to take another hit at him this season. So I honestly expect more of a decline than an improvement after last year.
And I can see that for sure. I mean, obviously, the fact that he is 36, I feel like that is almost that prime age where players do start to decline. But it still goes without saying that he made a massive impact on that Miami Heat team. I don't think that Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would be able to have gotten to that position without a guy like Kyle Lowry. And of course, I mean, there's other players on that list that you can argue. Tyler Hero being on that team that really made a major role, or played a major role when it comes to just getting up points and actually helping that team win. But again, it's just that veteran status of Kyle Lowry. Again, you do have that with Jimmy Butler too, but it's just a different style. I think that he almost does bring a championship culture to Miami, and it's helped them. It helped them come back against the Celtics in that Eastern Conference Finals. So I think there's a genuine possibility that he could find himself in a position where he is declining a little bit, but I still think he's one of the best players on that team.
Got Lowry over Shai, Kate. I'm gonna keep pushing this.
I know you are, but hey, we've talked about it. I mean, you think Shai is easily in the 40s, but I mean, it just, again, like I said, I feel like it's just that lack of the unable being not. Oh my god, I can't talk. Not being able to win in Oklahoma City. That's really what's setting me back for setting that part back. But like I said, I mean, I like Shai. I feel like he's got to show a little bit more when it comes to being able to win, and that could happen this year. I could be 100% wrong. So,
Hey, Shai or D'Lo? Or no. Sorry, Lowry or D'Lo?
Lowry or D'Lo? See, now that you mentioned age, I feel like I gotta go D'Lo, but at the same time, I'm thinking longevity of my team. If I'm talking right now, I'll take Lowry. If we're talking just this one season, I'll take
One
Lowry. But
season?
longevity, if you're putting me in a position where I'm a GM and I have to talk about signing a guy for the next 4 years, I'm taking D'Lo.
Just next year, Jalen or Kyle Lowry?
Kyle Lowry. I'll take Kyle Lowry. Yeah, right now, I feel like, again, he brings a much more just a much higher veteran status. And I think he might not necessarily be that player that's going to be putting up crazy stats, but he's going to be able to kind of keep that team together. So,
okay, we'll find out.
I'll take. Yeah, that's very true. All right, let's hear who you got at 42.
Okay, 42. You mentioned him earlier, Fred VanVleet. So we're about the same range. He became the fourth undrafted player to become an All-Star this past year. So he finally got that All-Star nod. He had a career year, 20.3 points per game, 6.7 assists, 4.4 rebounds, career high across the board. Didn't do too well in the playoffs, and they got knocked out. He got hurt. What else? And the reason why he's not higher is like his per 36 numbers aren't that great because he played like 39 minutes a game. So even though he had a career year, he was playing tons of minutes, got a ton of shots. And so that's why he's not higher on the list. You also touched on it too, Kate. Siakam is probably the one over him, and Scotty Barnes might be the two next season. Last season Fred was the two, but if Scotty Barnes takes a step forward, I'm sure they want Scotty Barnes to take a step forward too. Fred might find himself as the three option, so that's why I have him at 42.
No, I agree. Again, like I said, I mean, as I mentioned, I think he's a guy that you have to put on this list just because of his offensive capabilities.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, having him in the lower part right there in the 40s, I think that's a fantastic place to put him. And again, I mean, being that three option, I mean, he has a possibility of being the two this year, but I think Scotty Barnes does take that chance at getting to the three. So, or getting to the two and putting Fred VanVleet at the three. So again, I mean, obviously I can't disagree with you there. Very close in relation to mine. If you hated the Benedict Mathurin pick, I feel like you're going to hate this one as well. For 42, I got a guy that I think has already made a big impact on the league without even playing a real NBA game. I'm going Paolo Banchero. Hey, the way he played against Murray and the way that he just got in his head, I feel like that said a lot of just about his playing style, his playing mentality. He's going to go into Orlando with the idea of just wanting to win right away, wanting to win at that moment. And of course, Orlando is not a good-looking team. I mean, they finished 15th in the East last year. They had one of the worst records in the league. It's not going to be a turnaround like that. But at the same time, you can see that he is destined and driven to win, and that's going to play a massive role. And especially, I mean, when he's number one overall pick going into Orlando's team, and already going to be that number one option. I think you match him well with Cole Anthony. Again, like I said, I mean, I think he's going to explode on the scene as a rookie. And I will say this right now: this is the last rookie I have on this list throughout the entirety of it. But I just, again, like I said, I think Paolo, I mean, in a similar position that players like Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley were in last year. I think, again, I mean, he's going to be able to make that impact as a rookie, and I think he's going to be able to make a big impact, especially because you're talking about such a terrible team like Orlando.
I don't hate this pick as much as that Ben Mathurin pick, Kate. I actually kind of like this pick, but I didn't put any rookies on the list because they've dribbled as many times as I have in the NBA, so I didn't do that. But I definitely could see Paolo making this list next year for sure. We talked about this in the offseason, or I guess it still is the offseason, earlier this offseason, how around draft season, the Magic, they don't have any scorers, really, efficient scorers, efficient shooters. Paolo might be able to get up like 25 shots a game.
Yeah.
And if he can average like 25 points per game, which is definitely possible, he'll even if they only win 20 games this year, that's good enough.
Exactly. So no, I think Paolo is going to be a fantastic, or just he's going to find himself in a position where he's going to be able to find almost instant success with a team that isn't going to be that great. Of course, I mean, we're not really expecting Orlando to do anything this year, but I mean, if he can show that team that they're in a position where they want to, or if he can show that team that he wants to win and that he can find a way to make them win, I think you can see Orlando maybe making that turnaround a lot sooner than a lot of people were expecting. All right, so last one for today, 41. Danny, let's hear who you got.
Okay, I don't. This guy's probably higher on your list. I feel like this is pretty low now that I'm looking at it. I got Rudy Gobert at 41. I'm interested to see where you have him on your list.
I was gonna say I don't have him on my list if we're being honest here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was gonna say, and we'll get into that, but I want to hear your explanation for why you have him at 41.
Okay. I mean, I thought he definitely could have been higher, but I've never been the biggest Rudy fan. Obviously, you're not if he's not in your 50, but he's 41 for me. I mean, he leads the league in field goal percentage at 71%. He led the league in rebounding, 14.7%. Kate, I feel like you need the league leader in rebounds on your 50 list, low key. he was a DPOY finalist this past year, and just his impact on the defensive end, everyone knows how valuable he is. The Jazz led the league in lowest opponents second chance points, second lowest in opponents' points in the paint. That's just because Rudy Gobert has been an anchor on the defensive end for them. He's helped Utah make the playoffs 6 years in a row. Now he's on Minnesota. We'll see what his role is. A couple more scoring options. I don't know if he'll be playing as many minutes, getting as many shots up, but he's still valuable on the defensive end. The reason why he's not higher on this list, usually a dominant center is like top 25, but the reason why he's 41 for me is he every year he gets benched and exploited in the playoffs. So that's why I've never been the biggest Gobert fan, but I got to respect what he's done and what he's still doing. I don't think he's worth whatever they gave up four players for him. That's for sure, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could make the argument that it benefited your Lakers though, because now you got Pat Bev, which
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to work out there, but we'll have to see. The one reason I didn't have him on my list though is mainly just the transition he's making from Utah to Minnesota. I think now you're in a position where he's not, I mean, you'd have to make the argument that he's playing under Karl Anthony Towns as being that big man. I mean, he's going to be getting the starts. You'll see Karl Anthony Towns playing at the 4. But at the same time, I mean, I think you're going to see a big step back with somebody like Rudy Gobert, where he's not going to be that real, I guess, just big anchor that team has. So, no, that's why I didn't have him on my list. I mean, I agree. Like, I think he's definitely a fantastic player, but I think he's going to be taking a massive step back this year when it just comes to productivity. Now, here's a guy that you had on your list already. I think he's going to be making a lot of improvements on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Well, maybe not defensive. I mean, it's kind of hard to step there, continue to be as good as he is on the defensive side, but I'm going with Mikal Bridges on this one. He's really going to find himself in a position where he's going to really excel on the defensive side. I mean, you've listed off all the stats, so we don't have to go into that again. But I think that this is going to be the year that he does start to develop a much more consistent 3 and really be that good third option for that Phoenix Suns team. So yeah, no, there's not really much to say that or at least I don't feel like I have much to say, but I'm going Mikal Bridges at the 41 spot.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is a fair spot. I had him at 49, especially if he takes another step forward, which the Suns kind of need him to do. That
Hmm.
their biggest offseason move was teasing at KD and re-signing DA. So if he can take a step forward, that'll be huge for the Suns.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a very good possibility. I think a lot of people over the past few years have made the big like explanation saying the Suns' top players got to be D Book, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. I think you can now take DeAndre Ayton out of that equation unless he wants to start playing like he's actually earning $103 million. Um, and I think you got to put CJ or my bad, Mikal Bridges at that 3 spot simply because of the way he is playing at a defensive level and the way that if he does develop a solid, consistent 3 and finds a way to be a good offensive playmaker, I mean, he's going to be one of the best on that team, and especially since Chris Paul is getting into a position where he's taking taking steps back, and that age is showing. Mikal could find himself as being that number 2 option by the end of the season, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll find out. That might be a pretty hot take, but I like it. I like
I was
that.
gonna say we'll have to see, but I mean, it's a possibility in my opinion. All
Okay.
right, you got any final comments about these top? I mean, 50 through 41 for both of us.
I think we both have a solid list so far. I'm excited to see how it shakes out. I want to create a graphic and throw it up on socials tomorrow. Okay, we'll get some reactions going,
All
but
right, for sure.
it should be fun.
Oh, for sure. All right. One last segment. I mean, we don't talk about or we haven't talked about sneakers too much as of recently, but I feel like we have got to get back into it. I was going to say there's some good stuff releasing over the next few months, especially as we start getting into this holiday season. So, of course, we're going to throw it back to a little keeper sweep. Um, and like I said, I mean, it's around this time of year when we start getting into this holiday season that things do start picking up with the sneaker world. And I am very much looking forward to seeing what they have. I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit earlier this year, what is to be expected. But I mean, now we're actually starting to see the whole slate play out. So I'm excited about it. Danny, I will let you go first, though. And I'll say, let's keep it since I mean, we're coming up on September. We'll just keep it to whatever's coming out in September.
Okay. I want to get your opinion on this. That's why I have it on the list, Cade.
Okay.
Nike's always trying to. You're gonna have to Google it. It's Nike Air Force One Mid, women's military blue. We always clown on the one mids, but I want to get your opinion on the Air Force mids. I think this looks pretty cool. Kind of looks like a dunk. The purple laces. The color blocking is perfect. Honestly. I'm probably sweeping these, but I wanted to see what you think. If you have
They're not too
you find
bad. I
it.
think the one big thing is that you make the point that they look very similar to almost those Kentucky dunks. Um, yeah, I mean, I think you would find yourself in a position where you're almost making this as like a poor man's dunk in a sense, because I think these aren't going to be shoes that are going to be flying off shelves. I think they might stick around for a little bit. Um, I'm gonna go sweep just because in my position or opinion, I already have a pair of Kentucky Dunks. This is way too similar, and on top of that, I like Air Force One mids. I'm not against them, um, but honestly, I mean, I feel like with a lot of Air Forces, unless it's a very special collaboration, you almost always have to just stick with the classic whites, or if you're feeling a little bit frisky, go maybe all black. But obviously, that's if you're really feeling frisky. It's not terrible though. Again, I feel like it's not really my type.
I feel that. What you got next?
All right, so I'm gonna go. I think it's on the same day. Actually, was that August? Oh shoot, August 30th has so much going on.
Yes,
Um,
nuts.
August 30th, we're gonna go with a pair of Dunks, the partial gray Dunk High Vintage. Um, and this is almost very similar to this Air Forces we just talked about in the sense that you have for the Air Forces you had the almost uh Kentucky color patterns, and then you had that like weird purple lacing. And this situation is very similar. You have the very gray neutral colors of the Dunk High with pink lacing, which I think is very different, very unique. I like it though. I think this is definitely a different and more unique dunk high that we've seen, and I think it could end up turning out really well. I think it could be very easy to style, so I think I got to go keep with these. Oh
Kind
shoot,
of.
Danny, you doing good? Oh shoot. Wait, hold up. You doing good? Oh, I was gonna say you're breaking up a little bit, but hopefully we hopefully we get you back. That Wi-Fi kind of cutting out on you. All right. Oh, see, we get you for a few seconds, and then you go right back to where you were. Oh, Danny, you gotta find a new apartment complex now. Oh, you just frozen now. Okay, hold up. I'll keep talking about. Oh, he left. Dang it. Okay, hold up. I'll keep talking about it. The partial gray, I think, is a very unique kind of. It's a very strange, different, unique look. But at the same time, I feel like it's one that can definitely be pulled off. I think one of the biggest things about that. Oh, there we go. We got Danny back. Hold up. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. There we go. All right, you back? Oh, well, hold up. I think we're good. Wait, do you hear me now? At all? Oh God, this ain't good for us. We might have to cut the show early today. Let's see. Yeah, I got you. Do you hear me?
You can. Oh, I can't.
Oh God, you still can't hear me? Oh geez, okay. Anything better, Danny? Oh no, you still can't hear
All right, you
me.
can hear me, right? Okay, shake your head if you
Yeah,
can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you, but I'll go over my next sneaker. I said sweep on those dunk highs. The next sneaker I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you were going to talk about them, but the Sakai Nike Cortez collab dropping on August 31st. Ooh, this is such a beautiful shoe. Just the dimensions on it, the double swoosh. You still got like the original Cortez texture on the toe box, and then like the Air Max bubble on the bottom. I'm definitely waking up for these. This is a keep for me. What do you think?
I was gonna say, I mean, hopefully you can kind of figure out where you can hear me. I might have to type it in the chat, but these are definitely a no-go. I hate the way these look. I think, I mean, here's the thing is I like what Sakai does a lot of the time. I think they do a fantastic job, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's that air bubble in the front. I don't know if it's just the silhouette in general. I'm just not a fan of what the Sakai is giving out. In my opinion, I'm again, like I said, I just don't think it's necessarily a good look. I think it's again, like I don't know what's up with it. So I gotta say that's definitely a sweep for me. Not looking good for me there. Uh, let's see what's going on next. I know I got the phone call going now.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna
Now we
say
can
I gotta
actually
make
talk
sure you hear
straight.
me. Um, I was gonna say let's go with the next one for me. Again, like I said, that's a sweep for sure. I compared to the old Sakai looks, I'm just not a fan of it. Um, we're gonna go with
That's a
something a
sweep.
little
You're
different.
sweeping
Yeah.
it.
Oh, 100%. I hate the way it looks.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like how it looks. I don't think it's a good look. Um, I think now the next one we're gonna do, I think this is gonna be a little bit of a head turner, but I think that I love the way this one looks. The Air Zoom Flight 95 in the light Orwood brown. Um, it gives me foam posit vibes. It gives me that very like classic 90s look. Um, I'm a fan of the way it looks. I think it's definitely a very unique shoe, definitely a fall shoe in my opinion. But I mean, I don't know if I'm actually going to try going out and get these, but if I had the money to and I wasn't really complaining, I would definitely, I think I could definitely go for those. So that'd
I'm
be a
a,
key for me.
okay. I'm gonna respect the shoe. I'm gonna respectfully sweep it because for 185, I don't think I can do it. But
Okay, that
um,
makes sense.
the three colors on the bottom are kind of throwing me off. But that cream upper is pretty fire. I'm gonna sweep it though.
Okay, no, I can't blame you there. I think it's kind of hit or miss for whoever, but all right, Danny, what's your next one?
Okay, next up I got releasing sometime. I don't have the date. It says August though. The Nike Air Force One Low on Sneakers Day. You know, every year, whenever 5 years ago, whenever sneakers was released, they drop a shoe. This year, it is the Air Force Ones with some brown, kind of like a cream Air Force One body, and they got like some designs on it. Kind of remind me of like the Louis Vuitton all white Air Force Ones. Nothing like it, but you know, just some sort of design on the front and the upper. So I think this is a key for me. Into the fall season, you want your earth tones out, and this is the perfect shoe in my opinion.
All right, hold up. I gotta find the look of it real quick.
Okay, it's like a
Okay,
brown swoosh. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's actually I like the way that looks. I'm not a huge fan of Air Force Ones in general. I feel like they're a little bit overplayed. But this was solid. I really like the textures on that top, on the upper. I think it's a solid look. I think the brown. I mean, you can't really go wrong with brown, especially going into the fall season. I think that's definitely a key for me. Can't go wrong with it. Yeah, no, that's a keep for sure. I don't think there's really much to be said about
You
that
don't
one.
you
And I
don't keep
think
too many Air Force Ones, okay?
I'm not a huge fan, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit overplayed. Maybe just again, like I said, being in college, seeing the white sorority girls. I mean, always wearing them. So it's just the white Air Force Ones. You know what I mean? It just always
Yeah.
overplayed. But I'm not a huge fan. Diving into September, we saw the release back in January, or not January, in June, with the Nike Craft Tom Sachs general purpose shoe. It's releasing again, this time on sneakers in a different colorway, almost an all yellow upper, white swoosh. You got the orange pull tabs that are very synonymous with Tom Sachs shoes. A cream outsole that's different from what I think they did the gum outsole with the original pair that dropped back in June. I have a pair of that original. I have a pair of those that original drop, but I would go for this again. I love the way it looks. I think it's a fantastic looking shoe. And that yellow, it's not necessarily be an everyday wear for me, but I think it could be very good in general.
Yeah, I don't know. The yellow, I don't have any yellow shoes. Maybe I'll try and see if I can hit these for low retail price, 100, 110. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Um, some hype around the Tom Sachs. I think I'll try for these. So this is a keep for me. Not too much my style. Maybe I'll step outside my comfort zone, try and pick these up.
Honestly, I mean, it's definitely different. And from what I've experienced out of the ones I have, I mean, the whole idea of it's supposed to be like a general purpose shoe, just an everyday shoe, and that's what I wear mine as, and it turns out really well. So I like them a lot. I wear them almost on the daily, so I think if people do it with these, it could also turn out very well. I like the way it looks, though. Again, the yellow's a little bit difficult, but I like the way it looks. Uh, Danny, what's your next one you're looking at?
All right. The my September sneaker release, I got the Air Jordan 6 Georgetowns, icy bottoms, gray upper, hints of navy blue in there. Okay, this is a beautiful shoe to me. This
Oh
is a
yeah.
keep. I really want these. The resale, I just checked StockX, not going too crazy already for my sizes. So even if I don't hit on sneakers, then I might pay resale on these. But I'm a big six fan, so I love gray shoes too. So this might be a cop for me.
I'm not a huge fan of the six, but they definitely did a fantastic job with this one. Just the gray upper, all gray with the hints of navy blue, the icy sole bottoms. I mean, this is a fantastic looking shoe. This is a key for me. It's one of those shoes where it's like, I mean, I remember getting the Jordan 11 cool grays and thinking, I'm not sure how these are going to turn out. I'm not sure if I'm going to be a huge fan. Got them, beautiful in person. I think it's going to be the exact same situation here. Definitely a keep for me. Going ahead a little farther into the month, one we talked about a few months back, finally making its return. We got the Air Jordan 3 Fire Red. Again, this is another Jordan 3 that is, I mean, this is a classic shoe. This is a fantastic looking shoe. If you get the opportunity to get these, you cannot miss out on these. I will admit a 210 price point is a little high, but again, just for a classic silhouette, you cannot miss out on these. So this is definitely a key for me.
We've been talking about these for a while.
I
Hopefully, they
know.
actually release this time. Do you have the release date, Cade?
Yeah, it's September 10th.
September 10th. Okay, so any sort of Jordan, one of the one, twos, or not twos, ones, threes, fours, 11s. If there's red on it, white,
Oh yeah,
gray,
easy.
it's just an easy cop, easy pickup for me. Hopefully I hit on these too. I mean, I might need to start saving some money. There's a lot
I
of fire
know.
releases coming up, Cade.
And I mean, hopefully they do kind of treat it like they have the with the fire red fours, the cool gray 11s. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a general release shoe, but it really did seem that if you got up early enough, there's a pretty high chance you can get it. So I kind of hope it's the same way because I'd love to get my hands on a pair of these. But yeah, it's an easy keep for me. Danny, you want to go? Let's just say like one more each.
Okay, I only have one more, so
Okay.
perfect. Um, I'm interested to see what you think about these, Cade. Releasing September 24th. Jordan 1 high cut taxis. Yellow toes, retail sitting at 170, a little bit higher than your usual 160 retail for the ones, but it seems like they're all 170 nowadays. Um, High cut yellow. We just talked about yellow shoes. I know the no resell photos is like another yellow Jordan that has a lot of hype. These don't have as much hype. Um, Jordan's been releasing a good amount of yellow shoes. I feel like they released the Pollens. Now these taxis. These taxis were super hyped. Like I want to say 4-ish years ago. I'm surprised they're not picking up as much buzz anymore. But well, these are a keep for me, in my opinion. Maybe just because they're ones, and like I said, I want to try some new. I don't have any yellow, so these are a keep for me.
No, I like these. I would say I want to save. In my opinion, it feels between these and another pair of Jordan ones that should be releasing in October that we've discussed. I would definitely save my money for that other pair. We'll have to discuss it as time goes on and we get closer to that date.
Ooh, good
Yeah,
point.
you know exactly what I'm talking about too. But I mean, I like these. I think the nice thing about these compared to the Pollen is I feel like obviously you get hit with that yellow, but it's not just overpowering with the yellow and black. I think it's a good look. I don't know. I don't. I like them. I don't. I couldn't see myself going out of my way on September 24th to get them though. I might
That's
have to go
probably fair.
sweep on these. I
I'm
like them, but I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan in
Yeah.
my opinion.
After
Um,
you mentioned the other ones releasing, so I might have to sweep
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
these.
Saving up the money for that. That's what you've got to
Yeah.
do. My last one, I'm very interested to see how you think about these. They're releasing two pairs of these. I'm a fan of these, but I'll let you decide too. The Air, I'm hoping I'm saying this right. The Air Humara. Um, they're releasing two pairs
Oh
September
yeah.
10th. And I don't know. Like, I think this is honestly, I mean, I like the look a lot. I think it's a fantastic looking shoe. I think it's a very good shoe going into those winter months. It's different for sure. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything like this on Nike anytime recently. So, um, I'm on the fence about them, but I'm kind of leaning towards keep, especially for that white pair. But what about you? How are you feeling about these?
These are pretty unique. Yeah, these went viral a couple weeks, days ago ish. On Twitter I saw, and they kind of look like the Air Max pennies, almost like a
A
smaller,
little
more
bit, yeah.
sleek version. They got like some weird thing, like the laces go through the mid of the
Hmm.
shoe, the middle part.
Yeah, that
Um,
like fabric, yeah, that fabric piece that goes around and
I
goes
don't.
through the middle.
I think if I'm picking these up, it's to resell. I don't think I'm keeping these for the personal. So I think I'm gonna go sweep. Not too much my style, um, but I respect the shoe. They look cool.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't disagree with you. I mean, it's a different shoe for sure, but I was gonna say I'm a fan of it. I think I can definitely make it work out with my style. So I think I'd go keep with this one. Um, yeah, Dan, you got any more thoughts going into the? I mean, pretty much wrapping up the show for tonight.
This was a fun show. Glad we got to get some sneaker talk in there this time.
I know.
We've been slacking on sneakers, but I'm getting more excited now. I'm looking through the October, November releases, Kate. Ooh,
Oh,
we're
they're
gonna have a lot
good.
to
I
talk
know.
about.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be good. We're finally gonna kind of get back into the normal way the show used to run. You know, obviously
thanks.
talking basketball, sneakers, all that stuff. We'll get into it. We thank everybody who joined tonight. I was gonna say thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties as well. That's what happens when you can do enough live streams. It's gonna happen at some point. So, but we do thank you guys for putting up with that stuff. Thank you guys for obviously tuning in again. It was a great show, in my opinion. Of course, we've got a lot more to get into over these next few weeks, especially diving into more of the top 50 and more NBA preview as well. So make sure you follow us social media, 94 Feet Show, of course. Stick around for some of the social things that we hope to put out soon. And as usual, we'll see you guys next week. Have a fantastic week, guys.